Guys. Okay, so we're back at the galley now. We got all the roof bars in. I chose to go with the bigger, thicker. I did a 3x1 for where the hinge goes. Just thought it'd be a good way to end the roof. Adds a lot of rigidity compared to the 1 inch, so it gives it a nice strong transition to the opening. I just did the 1x1 on the bottom. This will be braced down to there just to make sure this doesn't get a bow in it. Because now what I'm doing is I have chosen to do an inset opening with a double seal. So it's a lot more complicated. It makes my life a lot more difficult, but I think it's the best way to go after the research and seeing how people's hinges work, or how they don't, or with all the leaking and stuff like that. So what I'm doing is I had 2 extra bars of this back section made. So I'm basically going to take one like this, and how I'm basically going to do it. I got to fit this, get it right, because it's a constantly changing curve. So I'm going to mark it where this bar ends, where that bar ends, once I get it lined up to exactly the same curve. And then what's going to happen is this piece is going to be cut, and it's going to fit in here, in between this and this. So what will happen is you'll have a trim with a seal here, and you'll have the trim with the outside edging here. And the reason I'm doing it is because what happens with a lot of the hinges, is, for one, if you don't have an inset like this, you need to bring your hinge all the way off the body, or it seems to be getting water in it. And that looks like crap. So other way to do it is to inset it like this, and insetting it also gives you something else. Instead of the water having to shoot off the edge, is what you have to do. What you end up with is a nice little valley here for water to come in off the roof, off your hinge, off your roof. And also, when you bring your roof, if you don't have this, and your roof comes here, what happens is you have an overlap at the edge, right? So say this is our roof, and it comes to the edge, or pretty close. When you're driving down the road, and you're doing 80K or whatever, because this is spaced up, right? Say this is spaced up. When you're doing 80K, water wants to drive underneath this, because there's really nothing stopping it, depending on where this ends. And I don't want a wood structure. I don't want any of my everything wood in this trailer will not be structural, other than a cabinet itself. But everything in this trailer will be removable. So to make my seals, a lot of people will just put wood here and then step it in with wood. I don't want to do that. I don't want wood to be any part of my structure. So by moving that in, wind can't do that. It doesn't work, right? It'll curve, but it doesn't go and do like a 90 degree. So I gain, plus when you overlap it like this, because this steps up, because your galley always sits up higher, unless you countersink it, which nobody seems to do because it's a lot of work. But so basically your galley hatch sits up 1/4 inch higher than your skin because of the seal underneath it. So there'll be a seal here, and then there'll be one down here. So you end up with this nice body line all the way, and then it goes dunk at the back. By stepping it in, the outside curve is perfect all the way down, and then once it steps in, it comes up later, but you don't notice it because it's not on the outside edge. So that's the reason why I'm doing this. For the double seal, I'm trying to make this thing as waterproof as possible. Anything wood or rottable, the entire interior in this thing, floor included, will be unboltable and removable. So the shell should theoretically last forever. And the interior, whether it's you want to access wiring, you want to change something, you want to add something, you want to change your style, you can pull out the entire interior and change whatever you want and put it back. And any normal person could do that. When you have wood as your structure and you need to change something because it's rotten or this, that, and the other, that's a major deal for somebody who's not capable. Not to mention, why would you want to? It's I don't like maintenance. I want to build it, and I want to build it once, and I want to build it right. I want to have to mess with it as much or as little as possible. So that's why I'm doing it. It's definitely going to create a lot of extra work. The galleys are already a lot of work. From what I understand, they're almost the hardest part of the whole build. But I think this is a worthwhile thing to do. So basically, like I say, I'll have another bar here, and then what will happen, it'll step down, and there'll be another seal down here. So it'll seal here and here. And if you really want to, you could do a corner. So we'll see what happens there once I build it. So I'll also have to build a channel around it, almost like a gutter, around the whole thing. And I'll have to do the same thing with the doors. The doors right now are just plain old 1 inch, but there will be a flange behind there for a secondary seal. So it'll seal out here, and I'll seal in there. I'm all about keeping this thing as watertight as possible. I don't, like I say, this thing's getting pulled with a VW bus. I got enough maintenance on my hands. It's a great little vehicle, but you're always messing with them. So I don't want to mess with this. This is supposed to make life easier. It's supposed to get stuff out of the bus so we have a little more room traveling, and a place for my daughter to sleep as she gets older. And it's just supposed to be a fun little thing. So, but I want to make this thing so 10 years, 20 years down the road, where there might be a little leak or something like that. Now they got this big, huge project, because they're basically, these things are built where if water gets in them, they'll fail. Where this, I'm trying to build it so it will not fail, and anything that could fail is completely removable with a fairly easy process. I mean, the whole thing, cabinets, floors, ceiling, I want the entire thing to be able to pull out of this. So you can literally the outside will be perfect. You won't have to touch anything, and the whole interior will come out, which is really, really cool. So it'll be a feat to do it, but I think it will be worth it, because it's basically a lifetime trailer that you can do whatever you want with it for forever. This thing will outlast me. 61 aluminum is like very corrosion resistant. This thing's built overkill with all the racing and bracketry and stuff like that. I don't think it's going to bend and wreck unless somebody hits it with a car. I think it's going to last a long time. Everything's usually a little bit heavier duty than the more of them. Even all the little things, the one I went off, this has more, I mean, the outside layer, because of the angles and the double up and stuff like that. I mean, the front and back and things like putting this in, that it's way heavier than the one I was building it. There's extra floors, cross braces. So this thing's going to be pretty tough once it's all bolted together. Already now, it's pretty rigid. So it's good. It's good. So yeah. So that's what I'm doing. So today's project is to get these galley bars cut. Oops. Right. Get these galley bars. Basically, I'll clamp them on the outside. Carry these marks over. Trim those, and then I'll bring them in. Get this thing as square as I can. And then these guys will go in here, and then I'll do probably probably 3 lookouts to go to it to connect it, and that should be pretty good, and we'll see where we go from there. But that's today's project. So it's galley time. Kind of been dreading doing it, but I'll be happy when it's done. So that's what we're doing today. This bar here, because it's only 1 inch, I want to make sure it doesn't want to bend at all. So I'm going to put a support in the middle. So I'm just using a spacer because I can't put a straight edge that's longer than it. I'm putting a 1 inch piece here, and then in the middle, and then clamping the middle up to make sure it's on the same plane, so I can weld in that center bar. I'm going to put one under here too, just extra support. That's what I'm doing. I just want to make sure that's straight. I'm also putting a block in the two corners because this edge from the inset comes down and sits on there. Not that it's going to go anywhere, it's a super short distance and it's more than strong enough, but a little brace doesn't hurt anything, it ties it all in together. So I figured I'd throw a piece in there. I'm trying to leave, I'm not doing it all filling in here because I'm hoping to be able to still get my insulation in here. It'll be a little tricky, but we'll see how it goes. But I want to get it all strong before I put in the inset bars, because this is, you know, if I weld this after and it wants to pull and go in a different direction, then it's no good. So. So I got to put all the bars across. Basically what I'm going to do, how I'm going to do this, is I'm going to take bars that go over the edge, and what I'm going to do is these will be, because these two are the outside, they will sit on here. This will get clamped to here, so I know that it's on the same radius. So I'm going to have, I don't know, probably one here, one there at least, and then it'll be clamped at the bottom, and that should give it the same arc, just to make sure it's good. You don't want to just rely on the clipping the bottom and the top, and then hoping the center is at the same point all the way along. So I'm basically going to run probably 3 bars, and then clamp these in here, put my spacers in, and I can tack that all up, check it out, see how it's going to go. So that's basically how I'm going to do it, is making these, because regardless of what is going on here, at the end of the day, these have to match up on both sides. So, which I'm sure is pretty good, but at the end of the day, that's how it has to be. No matter if it's out, doesn't matter. This has to be the same. So, this is basically what I'm doing. Putting my spacers in. These will fit in here. Yeah. Hopefully it all works out. So that's how I'm going to do the door. You'll kind of see a little better as how it comes along as I go. But yeah, we'll see how it goes.